and all those fun topics.
They were very good topics, and they were fun. But that's right. I was a little bit surprised by some of the questions, but they were wonderful questions. And
they absolutely were.
Yeah. And yeah, so it is. It's a God. There's a lot. There's a lot to this. Obviously, there's a lot of different options as far as what we do and how we do it, and as far as treatment. And it's a very individualized thing. Mm-hmm. But all in all, the goal ultimately is fairly similar, depending on how far you want to go with it. Maybe we should talk a little bit about some of the labels, about how we define some of this stuff, because this is confusing to me. And I think I'm not the only one in this community that's confused by some of this stuff. There's a lot of letters and stuff out there.
Sure.
And a lot of terms, and the terms keep changing, and we keep arguing about what's what and who's what.
Over time, certain terms become pejorative and derogatory, and we have to move on from those terms.
Right.
Yeah. But it would be nice sort of to talk a little bit about kind of a baseline about some of these terms, the term transsexual, transgender, what they mean, and how do we define who's a transsexual? Although I know that's not an easy one. That is not an easy one.
And a lot of the discussion that we've had with people about defining transsexualism sort of comes around the question of, does the label go away?
Mm.
Right.
I think in general accepted terms, a person who's intersexed has a chromosomal anomaly, and that seems to be a pretty clear definition. There's a problem in the chromosomes. Either you've got an XXY sex chromosome, or there's some other chromosomal abnormality on the sex chromosomes that affects their development. Transsexualism, what we've been talking about, is a prenatal developmental condition. So there's a biological reason that our bodies didn't develop in an incongruous way to our brains.
Right.
The transgender term, traditionally, historically, I should say, has been used as an umbrella term to describe anybody whose gender expression strays from that accepted by society as normal for their birth sex. In recent times, transgender has also been more acutely defined as somebody who's not identifying themselves as transsexual or intersexed or having any of these medical conditions, but they just feel more comfortable expressing themselves through an ambiguous gender identity. That some days they may feel male and dress in male clothes, some day they may feel female and dress in female clothes. They don't typically want to be confined by the polar stereotypes of male and female. You've got the cross-dressers, which are people who dress in the clothes of the opposite sex. These are people whose gender expression, for one reason or another, is intentionally and not for any biological reason. This is what we currently believe, not for any biological reason. Could be female impersonators. So this would be a man dressing as a woman for work. It could be somebody who, a man who likes the feel of silk underwear and doesn't, silk panties. It could be for arousal or sexual purposes. There's a lot of categories, a lot of different reasons someone might cross-dress.
Right.
But it's by and large a social construct because, it was only a few decades ago that women were accepted wearing pants.
Right.
We're both wearing pants. How many women out there are wearing pants?
A lot of them. Yeah. I do regularly, too.
60, 70 years ago, a century ago, that wasn't acceptable. That would have been cross-dressing. And if you go back to the aristocracy at the founding of our country, our forefathers, being men, wore wigs, powdered wigs, makeup, heels, stockings. When the West started getting settled, it was impractical. And men's fashion changed, and now it's not accepted.
Yeah. It's interesting.
But
Okay.
someone has an opinion on this.
Yes, we're going to take a call. Good evening, nlcTrans. You're on the air.
Good evening. This is just one of your supporters from Mitchell College.
Hello.
To talk to us.
Hi.
Yes.
So we decided to, stop in and watch the show and give you guys a call. If you remember, I'm the little annoying boy in the front seat that kept on asking all the questions.
Yes, you have a lot of good questions.
Good questions. Thank you.
So we're just watching your show, supporting you, calling you, telling you, thank you very much. Me, myself, along with a lot of different people, we had misinterpretation of the whole thing being, transgender, stuff like that. And because of you guys taking the time out of your busy schedule to come talk to us, we understand it a whole lot more better now. And, thank you for that.
Oh,
we
God.
really enjoyed coming and talking to you, and everyone asked wonderful questions. It was a great experience for all of us.
It really was. It was wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for taking the time to come to the session.
Oh, no, it was very lovely because, since I'm a part of the LGBT community, it's always good to support a fellow brother or sister.
Oh.
That's sweet. Well, thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for calling us.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
I'm watching you right now.
Okay. That is so great. Yes. We know who that was.
We know who that was.
Whole bunch of really good questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thank you. That was wonderful. So, and thank you for calling. That was great.
I love curious people.
Yes.
I'd rather have somebody who's curious and asks me questions than someone who sits in the dark in silence and hates me for just because
Right.
I exist.
Yeah, of course.
And I could have explained myself and gotten, around the whole issue.
Absolutely. If once we get to explain ourselves, everybody loves us. Well, most everybody.
All right, we have
Okay.
another opinion.
Probably not on that comment, but I hope not. Good evening, nlcTrans. You're on the air.
I was just Jocelyn saying hello and letting you know I'm watching you.
Hi, Jocelyn.
Jocelyn.
And you need to smile a little bit more.
Okay.
It's a good, serious issue you're discussing, and thank you for sharing.
Oh.
And we're just calling in to support.
Oh, hi,
Thank
Jocelyn.
you.
And say hi to Kenny.
Kenny says hello back.
Okay.
And we will see you tomorrow night.
Yay!
Yep,
Good.
absolutely. And you can let Kenny know. I'm sure he's probably watching too. The cameras work great.
The cameras work great. Well, we have tons more. I found a bunch in the basement, too, in a box.
Oh, wow.
So there's plenty to give everybody one plus more. Okay?
Cool, thanks.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yep.
Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thanks for calling.
Take care.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, so a lot of good stuff. And we were talking a bit, too, about procedures. And,
Yep.
and
Right.
a bunch of... I don't want to get horribly graphic on the show. I'm not sure how much our audience can take, but yeah, a lot of procedures, and certainly in that environment, we were able to discuss pretty much anything.
Well, and I think I'll go out on the limb here, and I'll say that what I've described in politer company is that a lot of people have the misconception that a male to female transsexual, they cut your genitals off.
Right. I know. Everybody
And the
thinks
fact
that.
of the matter is, they turn them inside out.
Yes.
And that's where I leave it.
Yes, there was
Watching all the guys in the room squirm.
There is a huge, when it comes to guys, there is a huge pucker factor here. Guys, when you start describing this around men, they tend to get kind of green and run away. And I don't blame them for that. I really don't.
I don't blame them. I think it's hilarious.
It's pretty tough stuff, and it's, I can understand why it has that effect.
I've actually used that effect with some of my male friends when I was talking to them.
To make them go away?
Well, no, just to make the point that it's like, okay, notice your reaction to my describing that operation. If I want to have that operation, obviously I don't fall into the same category as
Obviously.
you. I'm not squirming.
Obviously, yes.
Right.
That's a very interesting thing.
That's registered with them.
That's very interesting. When I was in